Hey Horses 940. I was gonna issue this as a press release, but my publicist is taking the week off. She's on maturity leave, I think. She's finally decided to grow up, but yeah. So I don't know how to get this out there other than through the super popular and famous YouTube channel that I own, and I figure that's as good as a press release to the major newspapers in the area. This, and I have to get ahead of the news on this one because I know they're gonna be coming down on me. So, a lot of you guys might not know this, but I was actually hired to work on the show Impractical Jokers. They saw our channel, they really liked it. I think especially Moore liked it. Murr, I don't know his name really. The bald guy. He liked our channel and he was saying how funny it was, and he emailed me and he was like, you have to come work on our show. Like, we need new talent, we need new people to help us be hilarious. And like, they thought that I was hilarious, and I felt kind of bad because in the email they referenced all these jokes that Matt had actually said. But I really needed this job. Matt has this new business where he reviews food. It's doing really well as far as I can tell. Prospects are looking good. Sponsors have been reaching out. And I don't really have anything. I mean, I used to go around my neighborhood and collect for charity and then keep it for myself, but people won't donate to me anymore. So I kind of need a new job. So I hopped on the opportunity, obviously. I mean, it was like a dream come true. And I'd never really heard of their show, The Impractical Jokers. I kind of thought it was like a Batman spinoff or something like that, like a cosplaying type show. But it wasn't. And I came to learn that very quickly from being on set. I was a quick learner. I settled into the job pretty easily. At least I thought. So basically, my job was to write every episode, direct every episode, produce every episode, edit every episode, and if I had time, advertise for them. So I was super excited for this. It was the perfect job for me. I was prepared to handle every part of that job. But things there was tension. There was a lot of tension, and it started when I was in the writer's room, and Saul was there, and he said, he was saying, like, we need ideas for our show, we need ideas for our show. And I was saying, calm down, like, I'm writing every episode right now for the next however many seasons. I can't do it in one day, it's going to take me at least like 3 days. And he was just getting mad at me, and he was saying, like, he had never heard of Horses 940. So I wasn't offended that he didn't know us. I mean, it was a little embarrassing on his part in terms of his knowledge of pop culture, but I'm not going to go there. He's successful in his own right. So yeah, me and Saul had tension, and he kept saying, he was mad at me, and I was thinking, how can I get him to like me? So I came up with this idea to host a circus. And at first I wanted like a bunch of animals, and I thought it would be hilarious if we had all the animals there, and the jokers. Sorry, I always forget that. The jokers came and they were like, "Oh my god," and they could like hang with the animals or whatever. I thought it would be a good episode. It would be at least a 4-episode arc in my mind. And so I pitched it to the network, and they were like, no, we want to do a Nitro Circus. And I was like, oh, okay, a collab with Starbucks. Nitro Cold Brew, Nitro Circus. We're going to have coffee, give the animals coffee. Yeah, that makes sense. They'll be a lot more active. You don't know with animals. Like, I have a dog who sleeps all day, and a show about him would suck. That's why my show about him got taken off of Disney Channel. I don't put that on my resume, just so you know. You guys, it's important. If you have a bad business. Like, I don't put my charity business on my resume. I don't put my failed shows on my resume. I only put things that I am wildly successful in on my resume. And I guess I'm not going to be able to put this job on my resume either, even though I put so much work into it. But yeah, so the network set up this Nitro Circus, and I soon learned that it wasn't going to have any animals. They were going to use animals to fill up some of the seats in the audience, but that was unrelated. That wasn't to be covered on the show unless they had to cut away from the action. And then maybe they could do a little funny thing about animals being in the audience. And I was like, this isn't really what I wrote. I mean, I thought it was my job to produce every episode of this show. But, you know, there were tensions. Like, they didn't have faith in me. And I think I was a little scared to be producing something without Matt. And Matt obviously wasn't answering his phone. He had a lot of Pringles and stuff like that to eat for his whatever he was doing. We weren't communicating at the time, and that's fine. Friends don't have to communicate all the time. I had a boyfriend in preschool. We never broke up. I haven't talked to him since he moved in kindergarten. But, you know, I'm comfortable in that relationship. Let me kind of get to the point. The day of the Nitro Circus, it was not a good day for me. And it was not a good day for anybody, really. Saul and I had just gotten in a fight that morning. Saul, like one of the stars of the show or whatever. I've never seen the show personally. But he had found out that most of my script ideas they were drawn through pictures. They were conceptual. It's almost like a storyboard in one image. And he didn't really like that. He didn't get it. He didn't know what his lines were. I mean, the other guys got it. Saul didn't get it. So I was trying to explain to him, and he was just pissed off. Like, at this point, I could tell my job was in danger. My job was in danger, my livelihood was in danger, and I was just praying that Nitro Circus would go well, it would be the biggest spectacle in history, and that I would get credit for it, even though it wasn't really based on my idea. So, in order for me to kind of win back my good standing, it was all resting on this circus. And, sorry. It's hard for me to talk about or think about. It was hard for me to watch on that day even. Many of the scholars I've consulted with while researching media for Horses 940 Productions have said that there is a fine line between horror and comedy, and we proved it that day at the Nitro Circus. In my quest to make the whole world laugh, I made those 4 jokers scream. And it was horrific. There were several near-death moments. Saul was dropped from the sky. And, you know, despite our feud or whatever was between us, I didn't want him to die. I didn't plan for him to be treated that way. And Cube was so angry. Cube was pissed, and that was when me and Cube, we couldn't get along anymore because, you know, you tell everyone you're producing and writing and editing and advertising every episode, and all of a sudden all the blame goes on to you. And I was in that position. You know, they were all harmed in one way or another that day, and I lost my job. I would have fired myself. I had the authority to do that, but they ended up firing me before I could get around to it. So, you know, it was a disgraceful exit. So that's my story with the Impractical Jokes or Jokers, and yeah, I mean, I just want to say I'm sorry to Cube, I'm sorry to Saul, I'm sorry to Mern, I'm sorry to Joe. I am so sorry that my tenure on the show ended in that way. You know, if you guys had just read the picture I made for that episode, you would have known that what happened. I was only trying to take credit for it because I thought it would go well. You know, I had nothing to do with that. So I am in the market for a new job in media. I have experience writing, producing, editing, advertising, working with talent, whether they be agreeable or not. And I also do art. So I'm very talented, basically, and I hope that you guys don't judge me for this. And whatever they say in the papers is probably not true, unless they say what I just said, in which case it is entirely true. Thank you guys for continuing to support my independent ventures, such as this YouTube channel, while I search for a new job. You know, I'm back in the rat race. So